bienvenidos a la Deuces Wild Daily Hustle. Soy Enrique Byrnes y presidente es el mejor cerveza. No abate por no filter network. Will the Thrill Clark not with us this morning, but he will be with us this evening. Miguelito San Dieguito not with us this morning, but you can find him on the Mind Bender podcast exclusively on No Filter Network. Regardless, we come on here each and every single morning. We come on here, and as you guys know, we properly salute our boys and, well, each and every one of you. Yes, 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 yes. Woo! Remember this, folks. When we are juiceful, we are useful, and when we are juiceless, we are fucking useless. A very pleasant good morning to our live audience. Joe, buenos dias, my man. Johnny, man. So hopefully we're back. I don't know why it just timed out. Real awkward pause right there, but we'll go ahead and roll with it. And don't forget, we will be back on tonight with Will the Thrill this evening for the latest edition of Deuces Wild. But I did write a Daily Hustle today. Wanted to come on here and share that with you guys. The Daily Hustle quote of the day: don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. When we came home the other day, Truckee, our 10-year-old bulldog, wasn't at the door to greet us, and I knew something was wrong. I called his name and frantically checked every room in the house, but he was nowhere to be found. Eventually, I saw Theodore, another one of our 4 bullies, laying on the ground beneath the dining room table. Next to him and under the chair where I normally sit was Truckee. He looked very peaceful, as if he had just plopped down for an afternoon nap. But he wasn't breathing. He was gone. In a bit of shock, I sat with him for about 15 minutes before wrapping up in a blanket and taking him out to the garage. The next morning, I put him in the front seat of our 1984 CJ7. He loved riding in that Jeep. Strapped on the seatbelt, Weekend at Bernie's style. Put Truckin', his favorite song, on repeat, and cranked up the volume as we made our way to the vet to have him cremated. Over the past 25 years, we have had 10 bulldogs. Bruin, Bella, Mr. Hitch, Pork Chop, Cruiser, Truckee, Yankee, Altuve, Eleanor, and Theodore. Each one has brought so much joy to our lives, and I like to think we have brought joy to theirs. Bulldogs are kind of like kids. They all have very unique personalities and take stubbornness to the next level. In typical middle dog fashion, Truckee marched to the beat of his own drum, and his playfulness was reserved for two things: the vacuum and the water hose. He was incredibly smart, learned to fetch the newspaper and ride a skateboard as a puppy, and arguably was the most loyal dog we ever had. Whenever Tara was home, he literally would never leave her side. As I placed him in a box at the vet and pulled away the blanket, I touched his body one last time. Immediately, a wave of emotions rushed over, and tears began flowing. But they were not tears of sadness. More than anything, they were tears of gratitude. As I struggled to keep my shit together, I simply reminded myself, don't cry because our time for now with Truckee is over. Just smile because we need to be grateful that it happened. See you on the other side, trucker. EB. Yeah, so that was a rough one. It's the first time with all the dogs, and geez, I mean, we got 3 left, so that means we've had 7 that have passed. That's the first one that I don't want to say unexpected, because I think Truckee had been struggling for a while, but you just never know when it's going to happen. I had left that day, and he was struggling the night before, in the sense that his face was swollen, his tongue was swollen. He kind of had like this thing on his neck that was this, like it was like these glands were really swollen. And so we called our vet, India. She's awesome, by the way. And we asked her, like, what should we do? And so immediately you want to do it was like a steroid, right? Like prednisone or something. So we had some prednisone. I gave it to him, and it seemed to help overnight. He slept well. Now, ironically, I haven't slept with Truckee in a long time. He typically would sleep downstairs with Chloe when she's home, but Chloe wasn't home. So I had him sleep upstairs with me in the bed. And he just kind of snuggled in and he wasn't breathing great, but I think the steroids helped, and he got a very peaceful night's sleep. And then when I got up in the morning, he ate, he pooped. It was like, all right, he's back. The swelling was still there, but it wasn't nearly as bad. So we left the house, and I took the 2 puppies. I say puppies, they're like 4 now, Theodore and Eleanor, with me. Just to simplify matters here, and it left Yankee and Truckee, and I was debating whether or not to leave them in the master bedroom area with the balcony or the main house area, with the balcony. And I was concerned a little bit. I don't know if a bee had stung him or what exactly had happened, or maybe it was an underlying condition that all of a sudden surfaced. But I made the decision to leave him in a main area because he was on the balcony when I left, and he was out there just staring out into the wilderness. And so walked up, gave him a little, see you a little bit, buddy. And so when I came home, obviously he wasn't at the door to greet me. I knew something was wrong. And look, I think the quality of life that he was living the past couple of years wasn't great. So I certainly could make the argument that he's in a much better place. than what he was. But man, I never thought. I won't say that it hit me like that. I'll tell you this: I never thought I wanted to deal with coming home and finding my dog dead. Right? And don't get me wrong, I certainly would like to avoid that in the future. But I will tell you that the one thing that it did do is that it made me grateful for life. It made me grateful for the time that I got to spend with him, the time that I get to spend with the dogs. I get grateful for my own family. And I think when you face death head on and it becomes sort of a real thing and you see it happen right in front of you, now I'm lifting this lifeless body up, and I didn't know what to do with them. And so I wrapped them in a blanket, and I couldn't take them into the vet until the morning. So I took them outside in the garage, and I put them on the hood of the Tesla, which is in the garage, and just left them there. And then the next morning when I got him, he loved riding the Jeep, and the Jeep's not even street legal. But I didn't have to go far outside of where I am to bring him to the vet. So I propped him up and I put him in there and I strapped the seatbelt on him. And it literally was like a scene from Weekend at Bernie's, and put on truck in and just rolled. And it was, I don't know if, whatever you want to call it, but when they got the hearse, the ride, and everyone follows behind with the cars and the headlights. It was almost like that. And then I was, able to take them there. And when I put them in the box, it was still wrapped up in the blanket, but I put them in, it was like a freezer box. The vet's like, I carried him in. She's like, oh, I'll take him up. Like, you have no idea. I mean, he was fucking heavy, man. Really heavy. I'm like, I got him. Just let me know where I need to drop him. And so she's like, I know this is kind of seem weird, but put him in here. And she opens this freezer box. And so I put him down and I unwrap him. And he's just lying there. Just might as well have been sleeping. I mean, he looked great. And then I just touched him. And it was just, I hadn't cried. Not the night before, not nothing. And it wasn't until that moment. And I think it makes me realize that we need that. We need that realization of life. We need the realization of death. We need those moments for us, and we need those moments to be vulnerable. And I didn't plan on being vulnerable. I thought I dealt with everything great. I think more than anything, at the beginning when obviously he was laying there and I found him sitting beneath my chair, I was just shocked. But one thing I wish I did is Colton was here with me. And in my mind, I was like, I'll deal with all this. Don't worry about it. I'm like, dude, do you want to see him? He's like, no, not really. And I totally get it. If I were to do something different, I would have made him come with me. And not because I needed a partner, for no other reason than to have him get to experience what I got to experience. And sometimes you would never say, like, this is something I want to do, but then you do it. And there was this feeling of warmth and closure. And then it really got me thinking. And like I said in the Daily Hustle, it's not about crying because he's gone. It's about smiling because of the experiences that we got to have with him. And I think every single day that we live is an awesome opportunity to experience life. And when you see death and face it, in the very real like that, holy shit, man, it's a good day to be alive. And I think it's a great reminder for all of us to keep charging life, keep building relationships, say I love you to those closest to you. I saw another thing today about a Harvard study that was saying the number one most important factor in living a long, healthy life are relationships. And it's not about having a ton of them, but close relationships. Now, it could be a marriage, it could be a friendship, it could be some sort of work relationship. Having these tight relationships, meaningful relationships, are everything in life. So, definitely grateful for all of that. Okay, Major League Baseball news. A couple things I want to get into. We're going to discuss a lot of this, a lot more when we get Thrill on here later today. But an article came out in The Athletic. MLB is investigating an incident between the Yankees' Jess Chisholm and a Braves coach. So Major League Baseball is investigating Atlanta Braves assistant coach Eddie Perez and his actions as he pointed to his head during Saturday night's game while jawing with New York Yankees third baseman Jess Chisholm. A league source told The Athletic Perez was upset that Chisholm was relaying signs from second base while shortstop Anthony Volpe was hitting in the sixth inning. Volpe hit a sacrifice fly to the warning track after Chisholm tipped off his teammate that a fastball was coming from Braves reliever Rafael Montero. MLB.com reported that Perez was telling Chisholm to think about his actions. The Yankees believed the Braves coach may have been threatening Chisholm with getting plunked by a pitch. Quote, I just wanted him to be smart. That's for that guy. I like him, but I guess he didn't like what I had to say and got upset with me. It wasn't threatening. I just wanted him to play smart out there. All right. So this is now the second time within like 2 weeks of this whole bullshit happening with the Yankees relaying signs. Look, I said this when this happened a couple weeks ago, and I'll say it again. If you want to relay signs to your hitter and tell him what's coming and where it's coming, Chisholm was like this, like fastball inside. A couple weeks ago, we had the Yankees going like this to indicate that a fastball or a breaking ball was coming. And I warned them a couple weeks ago, at some point, they're going to get fucking drilled. And if they're okay with that, for the longest time has always had a way of policing itself. This situation will not be any different. They will get their revenge in this day or another. So I caution, whether it's Jess Chisholm or any of the other Yankees, stop doing stupid shit. Relaying signs like that blatantly is a recipe for fucking getting a ball thrown at your dome. Now, whether or not Eddie Perez was saying that, I don't know. Him saying, think about it, is probably a pretty good idea, though, because there will be repercussions. I'm not advocating violence at all. I'm just telling you, from playing the game for as many years as I did, this shit happens. And you got a lot of old school guys, maybe not playing the fucking game, but coaching and managing the games at this point, that will be very discreet about it, and they don't give a fuck. So, to the Yankees, to Aaron Boone, stop that shit. Just stop it, or become more discreet at doing it. Because right now, it's a fucking embarrassment. And it's not good for baseball. It actually makes you guys look like a bunch of fucking buffoons. It's a joke, especially when you guys were so fucking outspoken about the Astros stealing signs. And now you guys are sitting there blatantly doing it and announcing to the world that you're fucking doing it, and then crying because someone tells you to think about it that may have been a threat or may not have been a threat. Look, Eddie Perez isn't going to say it was a fucking threat, but I'll say it for him. And I'll say it for all the other teams in Major League Baseball. It's a fucking threat. Now, whether or not they're going to fucking earhole you, I don't know. But I promise you, there will be teams looking for you to do it, and they're not going to ask questions. They're just going to throw it. And if you're okay with 100-mile-per-hour fastballs coming at you guys, then keep doing your shit. But there will be retribution, I promise you. It's just the way the game has always worked. Okay, let's get to another subject here. The Milwaukee Brewers are absolutely on fire. Winners of 11 straight games. How the fuck they are doing it, I don't know. I read a good article from Ken Rosenthal today basically saying, look, they don't have chumps. This is a very good team. But the fact that they keep losing guys year in and year out. I mean, Willie Adames, the latest to go to the Giants, and they just keep winning. This goes to show you in this great game of baseball, everyone's replaceable. They are. And I tell our kids on Let Them Play that too. They're replaceable. I'm replaceable. We're all replaceable. Now, is it going to be the exact same? No, not necessarily. But when you have 25 guys pulling in the same direction, and quite frankly, teams without superstars win. Look at the Detroit Tigers right now. The two best records in all of baseball are the Detroit Tigers and the Milwaukee Brewers. My argument is that there's not one fucking superstar on either one of those teams. So let that be a note to the quote-unquote superstar players that command all the bullshit and everything else. You're replaceable. You really, really are. So scores from yesterday, Cleveland 10, Baltimore 5. Looks like there was a full slate yesterday. Damn. Detroit went down to Pittsburgh 3-0 in Pittsburgh. The Padres started to play some pretty good baseball. 2-1 winners in Miami. It was the Washington Nationals 10-8 over Cincinnati at home. The Boston Red Sox go down 3-2 to the Philadelphia Phillies yesterday in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Phillies walked it off on a catcher interference call. This is bullshit. So there was a pitch that was thrown, a check swing that you could argue maybe he went around or maybe he didn't, but it felt like literally the barrel thing about this. This could be a strategic move going forward. Because of pitch framing, catchers have been trying to get closer and closer and closer year in and year out. And some of these catchers are so fucking close that I'm surprised this doesn't happen more often. Well, it was just a barely tap of the glove, and that was enough for the Phillies to walk it off on the first walk-off catcher's interference call since 1971. So obviously it has been a long ass time. Okay, the Toronto Blue Jays stayed hot, 4-1 winners in Toronto against the Yankees. The Mets 7-5 over the Angels. The Giants have lost 6 in a row now, going down 9-5 to Atlanta. The Chicago White Sox 8-3 over the Rays. Kansas City 12-4 over the Cubs. Pete Crow Armstrong banged up. So keep an eye on that. Hopefully he will be back soon. This is an MVP type year that he is having. That'd be a huge loss for the Cubs. The Texas Rangers 7-2 over the A's. St. Louis Cardinals 6-2 over the Rockies. Houston 6-3 winners in Arizona. Like I mentioned earlier, the 11th straight victory for Milwaukee, 6-0 in Seattle. I mean, the fact that they went in and swept the Dodgers and then go right into Seattle and keep the pace up has been just, I'll say, mind-boggling. But how about Brandon Woodruff? 2-0 with a 1.65 ERA. And then the Dodgers 5-2 over the Twinkies. They are certainly trying to get back on track. Today's games, it's going to be Baltimore at Cleveland, Detroit at Pittsburgh, San Diego at Miami, Cincinnati at Washington, Boston at Philly, the White Sox at Tampa, New York at Toronto again, Angels at the Mets, Giants at the Braves, 4:15 p.m. Pacific